Good afternoon, guys. This is Laura. Yeah, it's been a while to check some news article and the recording my activity. Yes, let me check some news article from Bloomberg. Actually, I just finished my previous project. Maybe it just finished yesterday. So I managed to make my free time and I try to do not to check or not to study. I just wanna relax and do nothing, but that is more difficult for me. So yeah, why don't we check some news article for a while? Let me start. Different news. What's the headline or 첫 번째 소식이 it is politics and it titled U.S. criticizes India's internet curbs, urges fresh farm talks. Let me check. Mhm. The US has criticized India's moves to block internet access at protest sites around the capital and called on the governmental and the farmers to resolve their differences through talks ahead of planned nationwide demonstrations against new agricultural laws on Saturday. We recognize that peaceful protests are a hallmark of any thriving democracy and note that the Indian Supreme Court has stated the same, the U.S. Embassy said in a statement. We encourage that any differences between the parties be resolved through dialogue. The statement comes a day after India's foreign ministry criticized widely shared social media posts in support of the protest by pop singer Rihanna and environment activist Greta Thunberg as a vested interest trying to mobilize international support against India. Farmers who have been camped on the outskirts of the Indian capital since last November have called for roads to be blocked across India on Saturday to demand the repeal of the new legislation pushed through Parliament by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, which they say will allow corporates to take control of farming. Policy crackdown. The U.S. statement said it welcomes steps that would improve the efficiency of India's markets and attract greater private sector investment, but criticized the internet restrictions at protest sites. We recognize that unhindered access to information, including the internet, is fundamental to the freedom of expression and the hallmark of a thriving democracy. At least 122 people have so far been arrested in New Delhi ahead of the latest demonstrations and the following uh, violent clashes on January 26th, when thousands of protesters entered the city for a tractor rally, according to the Delhi police, Delhi police. Police investigations have also been initiated against several journalists and opposition lawmaker Shashi Tharoor for tweets about the policy response to that violence. About the police response to that violence. Police have erected concrete barricades, spread concertina wire and hammered long metal spikes at the key protest sites on the capital's outskirts. Internet connections have also been suspended for prolonged periods of time on police orders, while the government has offered to suspend the reforms for 18 months, and the Supreme Court set up a mediation committee. A mediation committee. Protesters have remained firm on their demand that the laws be scrapped. Alright. Why don't we check the next one? Would be, which one would be the next? Maybe this one? Okay. Oh, they don't allow me to access the content for free. I don't wanna pay right now. Are you sure? Serious? Are you gonna show me? Oh, okay. Take me back. They only allow me to access the front page, so I think I need to, what's that? New York Times like that? New York Times. Let me check. McCarthy refuses to take action on Green. Cheney Cap's post. What is this? I don't have any background of it, so just read it. Let me just read it. In a statement, Representative Kevin McCarthy of California said he unequivocally condemned the Georgia freshman's violent and conspiracy-laden remarks, but declined to revoke her committee post. The top House Republican refused on Wednesday to punish Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for spreading false and bigoted conspiracy theories and endorsing political violence against the Democrats, condemning the Georgia freshman's previous comments but declining to take away her post on influential congressional committees. After days of a public silence and the private agonizing over what to do about Miss Greene, who has endorsed the execution of top Democrats, suggested that school shootings were staged and said that a space laser controlled by Jewish financiers started a wildfire. The Minority Leader, Representative Kevin McCarthy of California, issued a tortured statement that harshly denounced her past statements, but then argued that she should face no consequence for them. Past comments from and endorsed by Marjorie Taylor Greene on school shootings, political violence, and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories do not represent the values or beliefs of the House Republican Conference, Mr. McCarthy said. The contortions over what to do about Mrs. Greene came days after Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the most powerful Republican in Washington, denounced her as a threat to his party, and as more senators followed his lead. How can I read it? I'm not sure. The feuding played out behind closed doors well into Wednesday evening, as the House Republicans debated the striking Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming, the chamber's number 3 Republican, of her leadership post as a penalty for her vote to impeach President Donald Jr. Trump. Mr. Cheney ultimately emerged victorious after a 145-61 secret ballot vote. The lopsided results also amounted to a vote of confidence in Mr. McCarthy, who delivered an impassioned closing speech, according to officials in the room. In an hours-long, often heated meeting, according to people familiar with the discussion, Mr. McCarthy stood by both Miss Cheney and Miss Green and stressed the importance of presenting a united front. In his defense of Miss Cheney, Mr. McCarthy told the lawmakers that he wanted their leadership team to stay together. He reminded his colleagues that they elected him as their leader and that he asked them to let him lead by picking his team. The challenge to Ms. Green will continue on Thursday when House Democrats will call a vote of the full chamber to stripe her of her committee assignments. Mr. McCarthy called it a partisan power grab. He also warned that if they indulged the effort to strip Ms. Green of her assignments, Democrats could try to target other Republicans. According to 3 people familiar with his committees who insisted on anonymity to divulge the private exchange, Ms. Green faced a greater backlash from Republican colleagues in the Senate after Mr. McConnell's criticism. She's not going to be the face of the party, Senator Rick Scott of Florida, the chairman of a Senate Republicans campaign arm, said of Ms. Green. Ms. Scott, who was governor in 2018 when gunmen killed 17 people at a high school in Parkland. I don't know the acronym. Said her effort to portray the shooting as a fact as disgusting. Oh, it's a long. It's beyond reprehensible for any elected official, especially a member of Congress, to parrot violent QAnon rhetoric and promote deranged conspiracies. Senator Tom Tillis, Republican of North California, wrote on Twitter, "It's not conservative, it's insane." The divergent reactions from House and the Senate Republicans illustrated the extraordinary turmoil in the party as it struggles to define itself without Mr. Trump in the White House. For a part, Ms. Green offered a modicum of contrition in a brief speech on Wednesday, according to 2 people familiar with the remarks, and received applause from some lawmakers. She apologized for opposing a number of conspiracy theories and emphasized that she no longer believed in them, but she sidestepped the issue of a Facebook post she made in 2018 unearthed by Media Matters for America, suggesting that a devastating wildfire that ravaged California was started by a laser beam from space and controlled by a prominent Jewish banking family with connections to powerful Democrats. Mrs. Cheney's victory was all the more remarkable because she refused to apologize for her impeachment vote, even as several members of the ultra-conservative Freedom what is this? Freedom Caucus accused her of aiding the enemy in voting to impeach Mr. Trump, the people said. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, one of the former president's fiercest defenders, joined in and said he felt Ms. Cheney could not represent a conference that had overwhelmingly voted against impeachment. The small group of Republicans who joined Ms. Cheney in voting to impeach Mr. Trump voiced their support for her, and some offered barely veiled criticism of Mr. McCarthy's handling of the party's dual crisis. Representative Adam Kinzinger of Illinois spoke in Ms. Cheney's defense and accused Mr. McCarthy of doing more to defend Ms. Green than he did to defend Ms. Cheney, calling it embarrassing, according to two people familiar with his comments. Wow. The fate of Miss Cheney. Well, I think I need to move into different article because even I'm reading more and more, I feel like I'm in a maze or yes. Which one would be better? It's too detailed and I'm not sure what they're talking about and they're just maybe let me check 연합뉴스 a little bit more. I hope they can show me the result. Please. Why are you frozen? What happened? 연합뉴스. Is it wrong? Oh yeah. Why is it so slow? Okay. I think I'm gonna read one or two news articles more and then I'm gonna take a rest. Right. Moon, Biden to map out comprehensive North Korea strategy together. Okay, go away. The leaders of South Korea and the United States agreed Thursday to draw up a joint comprehensive strategy on North Korea during their phone talks, 청와대 announced. South Korean President Moon Jae-in and his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden also agreed to work together for the shared goal of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula and bring lasting peace to the region, according to Moon's spokesman Kang Min-seok. Moon proposed that the two sides make joint efforts to advance the denuclearization and the peace-building process in a half-hour conversation, according to Kang. Biden pledged close cooperation to achieve the aim, saying it is important for the allies allies to maintain the same position on the matter, Kang added. The United States raises expectations for Seoul-Washington consultations on Pyongyang to gain pace under the new American administration. Biden's aides stated a push for a new approach toward the Kim Jong-un regime away from that of the Trump administration. Moon and Biden reaffirmed that the Seoul-Washington alliance, which has lasted for 7 decades, is the key to regional peace and prosperity. They agreed to develop it as a comprehensive and strategic alliance to contribute to promoting democracy, human rights, and multilateralism in a world beyond the peninsula and the Indo-Pacific region. On Japan, they shared the view that an improvement in Seoul-Tokyo relation is crucial, as well as the strengthening of a trilateral security partnership, Kang said. They also exchanged opinions on other regional security issues, including those related to Myanmar and China. In particular, they shared concerns about the recent situations in Myanmar and agreed to cooperate. I'm not sure Myanmar or Myanmar and agreed to cooperate for democratic, peaceful resolution, the 청와대 official said, referring to a military coup there. Moon and Biden agreed to hold their summit as soon as the COVID-19 situation is stabilized, he added. In a separate statement, the White House said the leaders agreed to closely cooperate on North Korea. The two leaders agreed to closely coordinate on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, it said, using the official name of North Korea. Biden's call with Moon was to stress his commitment to strengthening the alliance. I forgot the pronunciation. 이거 어떻게 읽었지? 좀 전에 읽었는데. Alliance. I'm not sure. Which is the linchpin for peace and prosperity in Northeast Asia, it noted. They also agreed on the need for the immediate restoration of a democracy in Burma, it added. The two presidents discussed a range of global issues critical to both our nations and agreed to work together to address shared challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the climate change. The U.S. government still calls the Southeast Asian nation Burma. It was their first phone call since Biden's January 20th inauguration. I just had a great conversation with President Joe Biden. I welcomed America's return in the midst of mounting global challenges such as COVID-19, climate change, and economic polarization. Moon wrote on his social networking account shortly after the talks. Moon and Biden had their previous phone conversation on November 12th, following Biden's presidential election victory. They agreed to cooperate closely to resolve the North Korean nuclear issue. Biden called South Korea a linchpin of security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Since taking office, Biden has spoken over the phone with the leaders of such nations as Canada, Mexico, Britain, Russia, and Japan. All right, what is the linchpin? A linchpin, also spelled lynchpin or something, is a fastener used to prevent a wheel or other part from sliding off the axle upon which it is riding. The word is first attested in the late 14th century and derives from Middle English elements meaning, how can I read it? Exlitripian. Is it right? They don't show me the paruntio. Anyhow, alright. I think it's enough for today.